pounding, and it's got no give on the skin.
No give, yes. Yeah. No give can be an advantage in some cases, but yeah, I know what you mean.
If you're working fast. But it's interesting, we go to like, sometimes we've done flash days and stuff at other shops, and shops that some like use just all rotary pens, and they're all like, you know, tattooing quietly.
Yeah.
And then here come the trad guys in, like laughing, making noise, telling stupid jokes, and then we start up coil machines, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like the loudest part of the shop, like, oh, put them in the corner.
Get them away from everyone else.
Yeah. That was part of the fun of tattooing back in the day. You
Yeah.
walked into a shop and you could often hear them out on the footpath.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, usually if one of us is tattooing in here, you can hear it just before you open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this place is pretty soundproof too. And you
Yes.
can still kind of hear the buzz. You're like, oh yeah, open the door and
Yeah.
I wonder what's happening in there.
Yeah.
The mystery.
I got partial deafness because of the loudness of the tattoo machines over the years.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible, eh?
I get a lot of people that say that to me. They're like, that thing's bloody loud. Like, does that affect your hearing? I'm like, not yet, maybe in the future.
You know, the hearing specialist told me, you know, the old, back in the day, the dentist used to have a dentist drill. And as soon as you walked through the door there at the dentist, you could hear this high-pitched whine.
Yeah.
And so the old-time dentists, they got hearing damage
Holy.
because of that.
No way.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. You were saying like, I know you got really, really good at tuning coil machines as well.
Yes.
You could run it for ages and it wouldn't heat up or anything like that.
Yeah, it took me a lifetime to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a really interesting thing.
you have a machine that like your favourite machines that never broke down and never broke springs, never heated up. You could use them all day and they never heated up or broke a spring.
Yeah.
Year in and year out
Yeah.
without breaking a spring. It
Holy.
was quite an achievement,
Yeah.
especially if you wanted a long stroke. Anyone could set up a machine with a short stroke because there wasn't much give in the A-bar.
Yeah.
But to have a long stroke and an efficient machine was quite an achievement.
Yeah. Wow. Holy. Like,
Because if the stroke was too long, it would break the spring. Here's another thing back in the day. Australia was predominantly we're getting back into a bit of history here. Australia was traditionally a AC country. You know what an AC coil machine is?
like the voltage.
Yes,
Yeah.
alternating current
Yeah.
machine, which is a little bit different to what a DC machine is. It wasn't until Australians started to go over to America to the conventions and they sued the Americans and everything over there, tattooing with DC machines. And they'd never heard of AC machines. England was an AC country, and Australia was an AC country. So we brought back the idea of tattooing with the DC machine.
Okay.
So you tattooed for many years with an AC machine, and then you had to learn how to tattoo with a DC machine because it was supposed to be superior.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it like that? Was it that different? Was it?
It was a little bit on the different side, you bet.
Okay.
It worked off a different principle.
Oh.
With a DC machine, the front spring became a set of points with the contact screw, and a spark was there.
Yeah.
With an AC machine, it was just something to bounce the armature bar off.
Yeah.
It wasn't a set of points.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a different principle.
Wild.
I could imagine with the DC machines, they'd burn to a lot more front springs, and you know their capacitors would go as well faster.
Yes.
It would burn bright. You know, you go, oh, it's gone blue. No, capacitor. You know,
Yeah.
new capacitor. DC.
Yeah, if you didn't use the right capacitor, it could blow up on you halfway through a tattoo. A
Yeah.
bang, you know, quite a loud bang in some cases,
Yeah. Holy.
depending on the capacitor. And then you had that big spark there.
Yeah.
And once you had the big spark, the machine would run rougher.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the capacitor not only made the machine run smoother, it almost eliminated the spark altogether. But
Yeah.
with AC machines, there was no spark
Okay.
whatsoever, and you didn't need a capacitor.
Oh.
We really should talk about it,
Yeah.
and I should give you teach you the difference between AC and DC, because the day's not far off when nobody's going to know the difference.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd love to learn all about it.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
like they don't know how to make a needle bar
Yeah, for sure.
or mix colour
Yeah.
or make a stencil. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to learn
They're
all
all
about it.
dying arts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never mixed pigment or anything, but I've made lots of needles.
Yeah, I've made a few needles and I'm not very good at it.
No, me neither, actually.
I'd love to
Yeah.
learn a bit more about it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think it's tricky because a lot of the time these days when everything is supplied to you, you really have to go out of your way to learn, these methods. And it's hard. It's hard to find someone who's going to teach you that because most, I guess, mentors even these days don't know either.
Yeah.
It's a really old school thing.
Yeah. You really need an old timer.
Yeah. I'd love to learn all about it,
Yeah.
with tattooing's my life and will continue to be for as long as my hands will let me. So I want to learn as much as I can about it.
Yes. I think it's disappointing. A lot of the young guys coming up these days don't want to know about the history behind it all. They just couldn't care less.
Without the people that did it before us, we couldn't do it today.
Yeah, that's kind of why we started this whole podcast, really, is so we can kind of immortalize that.
Capture some stories of people that have done it before us and
Yeah.
capture from stories from our peers that have had different experiences,
Yes.
Yeah.
But-
yes.
and send it out to the world. Like
Yeah.
we've got lots of people in my life that were really excited when I said that you were coming on our podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of Brisbane tattooers and whatnot. And it's I don't know, it's exciting. I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy listening to what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
this
it's-
podcast is literally to pay homage to the past of tattooing.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's good
yes.
to give back.
Yes.
Give back a little bit,
Yeah.
It treats us so well,
Yes.
tattooing.
It's almost like history being passed along by word of mouth here.
Mm.
I always seen it as mystical,
Yeah.
otherworldly perhaps, like nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no other art form on planet Earth that can move a person like tattooing.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example to how powerful tattooing is. We've all heard of the great masters, Leonardo da Vinci and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And they're great masters they were. And their work is so beautiful and it moves people. But it can't create the instant emotions like tattooing can.
Mm.
As an example, little Johnny comes in and gets a tattoo and he goes home with that tattoo. Mum and Dad see it, they crack up. And Mum starts crying. Dad comes out and biffs him around the ears.
My baby boy,
What have you done?
your life has been ruined.
So, all over this little tiny tattoo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Powerful emotions, isn't it?
Holy.
What other art form can conjure up emotion like that?
Oh, exactly.
I-
Your mum doesn't lose her mind at the Mona Lisa.
I remember I had the gentleman that did all my tattoos was a bloke by the name of Mick Waters. He was in Cairns for a long time.
Yes.
Now he tattooed 2 full sleeves on me in my chest before he would touch my hands.
Yes.
I always wanted my fingers tattooed, so I had 2 full sleeves and my chest all tattooed before he could do anything on my hands, which I understand and I did. Anyway, I got my fingers tattooed. I got devotion tattooed across my fingers, and my mum cut me off. She didn't talk to me for like 6 months. She just cut me off. She said, "Nah, that's it. You've done it now. See ya." And in that 6 months that she didn't talk to me, I went and got the rest of my hands all done. So by the time she got back in contact with me and said, "Jake, I forgive you," I said, "All right, Mum, well, here you go." And so she had to get over it and accept it. But it is powerful when it
Yeah.
comes to parents.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And, well, not just parents, the cops,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
law. Once upon a time, if they
Yeah.
saw you with the tattoo, they'd pull you up on the street.
Mm.
Who are you? Where are you going?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? And so forth.
Yeah,
Because you had a tattoo, immediately they figured you did something wrong.
for sure.
So it creates a range of emotions that even Leonardo da Vinci couldn't get. I can relate to this because when I come home with my first tattoo when I was only 16 and I was still going to school, my parents, it was a bad scene. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So much so, and so much did they hate tattooing, especially my mother. that tattoo kit I told you about that I got off George Cash.
Yeah.
When I got banged up on the motorbike and ended up in hospital for a long time, they threw it all in the garbage.
I was wondering where that went.
I had other stuff too. It all went in the garbage, threw it away.
What was your first tattoo, Mo? What did you get done on your arm there?
I had the traditional skull with the knife through it with Death Before Dishonor.
Classic.
Wonderful.
Classic.
Wonderful design.
Yes.
And you've now since covered it up?
Yes, you can probably see where it was covered.
Oh, yeah, I can see the teeth slightly through.
Yes.
Unreal.
Holy.
Death Before Dishonor.
I wished I never covered it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who
wow.
did it? Who did it on you, Mo?
The tattoo,
Yeah.
originally Norm Collette.
Okay.
Yes.
The so the second tattoo I ever got done was I got Death Before Dishonor tattooed on my chest
Yes.
in like nice hand script that Dane did for me many years ago at Cairns City or FNQ tattoo it used to be, and it changed my life.
Yes.
You know, but I love that. I love Death Before Dishonor. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's since mine is since now gone as well. Zuzz is actually tattooed over the top of it and covered it up.
Yeah.
Because we did a big black eagle over what I had.
Yeah, we blasted over your chest.
But yeah, I love that. It's a classic
Death
design.
Before Dishonor.
Yeah.
It was also spelt Dishonor.
The American
The American
way.
way.
The American way. There's American tattoo design, I believe, straight from the Zuzz tattoo company.
Oh, wow.
Rad. Because they did a lot of production flash. They did a lot of for tattooing in America with production flash. So you could like pay them, send them money in an envelope, and they would actually post you just like however many sheets of flash. And there were like these kind of weird, like they had heaps of black in them, and people would carry them around and tattoo from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people would pick them, and you can still find them today. Like they're online, you can't buy them, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I think the Zuzz company potentially is still going. I know they're still maybe making tattoo machines, or I don't know. It'd be a great grandson or granddaughter. It's keeping it going, I'd say.
There used to be a supply company in America called Picture Machine.
Yeah.
And they did pretty well nothing but supply flash.
Holy.
All the supply companies sold flash. Heaps of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So everyone's tattooing everyone's tattooing the same designs.
Yeah.
Unless they're making them themselves, like the flash.
Yeah, back in the day, we didn't really know that you could buy flash. So we used to hand draw. The whole shop was coated with hand drawn flash. And each piece of flash had a little price sticker on it.
Yeah.
That one was $45 and this one was $65 or whatever. Sometimes a customer would come in and put the price.
They go scratch it off.
No way. Put a
little
$25 sticker on it or something. That says $25. Thank you.
Oh, no, that's only 5. Scratch off the till or something.
But we knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how we knew, but we got to know. And
Yeah.
when we had a big price rise, we'd have to go around the whole shop,
Oh, no.
change all the prices.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been a nightmare.
You would know. You know, I bloody drew that thing by hand. Of course I know how much it is.
Yes.
Cheeky fucker.
It's incredible putting prices on flash.
Yeah.
It is definitely reminiscent of the old school.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess like back in the day as well, like it would have been harder to resize things as well. Would you have like
You
tattooed
couldn't resize
yeah.
it. There was no photocopiers
Yeah.
to resize it.
Yeah.
That's just, if that's what the size was on the wall, that's what size you got.
Exactly.
And the flip as well.
yeah.
You couldn't get it flipped.
Oh, you could flip it over.
Oh,
Yeah?
could you?
Yes, because you traced it off on a tracing paper.
Ah.
So you could.
So you could say it was an eagle. You always had to do the eagle flying inwards. How many guys did you ever see with the eagle flying outwards? Because the tattooist was too lazy to flip the stencil over.
I've seen a few. I know this old fella, and back when he was young, he got like a tiger shark tattooed on his arm.
Yes,
And the first thing I noticed, it was facing the wrong way.
that's right.
So it would have been the tattooer just being like, "Oh, sit down," you know.
Yes, we used to have a filing cabinet in the shop.
Yeah.
Anyway, it had all the stencils already made,
Yeah.
And you could use them over and over again because the ink that we used to use was very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And we had two sides. Some of them were meant to go on a different, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, I've heard stories of tattooers putting tattoos on the wrong way. Like if the design had a map of Australia, for instance, I've heard of the tattooers putting the stencil on wrong,
Oh,
so that the
no.
map Australia came out back to front.
Oh no. You know, it's adds a bit of something to your tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny as. I remember, I think it may have been Ratty Black Crab. He was telling me he came and worked with you for a little bit back in the day, and you had like a whole shoeboxes just full of designs and stuff. You know, and he said that, you know, someone would come in wanting a specific design and you knew exactly where it was, which box, about, you'd say like maybe like 2/3 of the way down, and there, lo and behold, it would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them were from like a lot of the magazines and stuff back in the day as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back when we were drawing our own flash,
Yeah.
a guy might come in from, say, I was in Brisbane, a guy might come in from, say, Melbourne or Sydney,
Yeah.
and he had a nice tattoo that was done down there.
Yeah.
And you'd look at his arm and you'd think, okay, you either have to memorize it, and redraw it overnight,
Yeah.
or he'd let you trace it off his arm. The next day it'd be up on the wall. You had to beg, borrow, and steal.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
That's
couldn't
what
just
tattooing is.
you couldn't just send away and buy umpteen sheets of flash.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't. Nobody did.
It's a pirate's life for us.
Yes.
But yeah, that's incredible. Trace the 1 second, mate.
They
Stay-
probably would have
stay-
been honoured, eh? They would have been like, oh, yeah, it's good enough to.
That's right.
It's good enough for the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He'd even let you shave the hair off. So
Yeah.
So you can see it properly. That's incredible.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
you had to
Yeah.
do whatever it took back then.
Yeah.
For instance, I don't know. I think I worked for a couple of years
Mm.
with this big thing called a vault slider. It's a big round thing.
Yeah.
And that was they call them a rheostat.
Okay.
Anyway, I didn't know that you could adjust voltage from, say, 5 volts to 12 volts or whatever.
Mm.
So all my machines ran off a certain voltage,
Okay.
and
They didn't have like a, you couldn't adjust the voltage
couldn't
or
adjust
anything
the
like
voltage
that.
until I learned that you needed to adjust the
Oh,
voltage.
wild.
Yes.
So you just like ran all your machines off the exact same, whatever the output was.
12 volt.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was 12 volt.
Oh,
So you had a 12 volt transformer sitting
Yeah, yeah.
there. It was after a while, after maybe a year or more, that I found out that you could adjust voltage.
Your tattooing would have changed dramatically after that moment.
for sure.
Yes, yes.
You can slow it right down and just really. I've actually been enjoying. I've been doing a lot of full fronts and full backs lately, and I've been dropping my volts and just brushing it in, just so slow and like gentle.
Yes.
And the skin is just like healing beautifully because of it, and it's totally changed my own tattooing within the last few months. Just like playing around with voltage and
Yes.
and
Voltage is very important, at least with a coil machine it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
Length of stroke is a very important thing too.
yeah.
I've seen so many guys trying to work with like a 1 mil stroke, you know,
Oh,
and
how do you?
year in, year out, they're persevering with a 1 mil stroke.
Holy.
How do you see what you're doing?
I
It'd
know,
be a mess.
They're working on the tube tip.
Oh, they're just running off the tip. Okay.
Yeah.
The only way you can do it.
Yeah. You
And then the skin would have to be as taut as a flaming piece of glass.
Yeah.
Oh,
I learned a lot off Dutchy about long stroke machines. I don't know whether you've heard of Dutchy.
Yep.
Old time Australian tattooist tattooed me up the back of the arm. Dutchy always worked with about a 5 or a 6 mil stroke.
holy.
Holy.
That's pretty long.
Yeah.
Yep.
And boy, but Dutchy was known for his good colour work. When
Yeah.
Dutchy tattooed you, you stayed tattooed. And that's the way I looked at it.
Just
Yeah.
working from the tip of the needle.
Tip of the needle.
Yeah.
Not the tip of the tube,
Yeah.
the tip of the needle.
Yeah.
And you could feel it biting into the skin, and you could feel that colour going in there.
Yeah.
For
It
sure.
was just like painting it on with a paintbrush.
Holy.
But to achieve a machine that could maintain a 5 or 6 mil stroke without busting springs and overheating and everything like that was quite a feat.
Yeah.
But it makes a big difference to putting in that colour or even an outline.
Yeah.
For
You want
sure.
to do an outline with a 5 mil stroke. Would be scary for most people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Working off the tip, yeah.
Holy.
The modern machines, what do you call them?
Rotaries.
A rotary machine.
The rotaries. You can't really adjust the stroke on them too much, can you? They come out of the factory with a. Some of them have got a cam on them where.
I think some of them can be adjusted. I think it depends on the machine.
Yep.
But yeah,
Like-
it's really interesting.
Like the Dan Cubans, we use the Dan Cubans to line,
Yeah.
and it's a rotary machine with it's almost like a little engine on the side, like
Yeah.
a little
I know the ones.
and it has an armature bar in it.
and it's got an A bar. Now you can actually you can put the A bar forward, and then twist a knob that
Yes.
will actually like adjust your stroke
Yes.
completely.
Yeah, I've
So
seen
you can
them.
you can really you can actually really do a lot with them, and they've got a little back spring and everything. It's a really interesting little machine that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's almost like a coil machine and a rotary machine made a
Combined.
baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this little baby is a wonderful little tattoo machine, and it
Yes.
sounds like it's got.
Yeah, it sounds like a coil because of
Yeah.
that armature bar slapping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
it sounds like a whippersnipper or something.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like
chainsaw.
it's scary. it's which is kind of fun when you're going to get a
Yeah.
tattoo and
Yeah.
someone's bringing that thing to your arm or your leg or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
bang, oh,
Yeah.
is it really gonna hurt?
It's thrilling.
Yeah,
It is thrilling.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny enough, just because a machine's got a 5 mil or 6 mil stroke or something, doesn't mean that it's going to hurt anymore. It can even hurt less
Okay.
Yeah,
because you've got so much control over that needle tip going into the skin
Yeah.
that you can actually tell whether it's hurting or not.
Yeah.
well, yeah, you're not gonna like plug down in deep,
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna blow out.
Yeah.
Yes.
With a 5 mil stroke,
Yes.
you've got to be more like onto it.
Yeah.
And your hand control and
Yes.
kind of you know like a brush stroke more so than like riding the tip and just like plugging in and like hoping for the best.
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
gotta have depth control.
You got more control, and that's where adjusting the power comes into it too. Because you've got such a long stroke, you don't need as much power.
Okay.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And then when that needle would hit, it's gonna slow down the A bar, which is gonna treat the skin so much nicer.
If the stroke is too short on a machine, you've got to have the skin tighter.
Yeah.
I never liked the tattoo with taut skin.
Yeah.
I like if you didn't have to hold the skin very tight at all.
Yeah.
Not like the Coleman grip,
The
Yes,
Coleman
yes.
grip.
the can of beans, and he grabs you and pulls your arm
That's right.
Yeah.
and tattoos you.
Yes, I never liked that.
Yeah, it probably hurt.
For a start, that's one-handed tattooing. The other hand is wasted
Yeah.
Yep.
holding the skin.
Yep.
It couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
But if you weren't too interested in holding the skin extra tight, that hand was freed up to wipe the.
Yeah.
So you were tattooing. Machine.
It's a lot cleaner.
It is cleaner.
Yeah.
But if you're tattooing with the Coleman grip,
Can't do it.
can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. What do you?
You got the tissue under here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Underneath underneath your machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a lot more difficult.
So I think not holding the skin too taut didn't
Yeah.
hurt as much.
Sometimes you like, I don't know, some areas you have to hold it real tight.
Yes.
And I've got a real sore hand after a big day of tattooing in those like
Yeah.
spots where you have to really stretch.
I get nervous that if you don't stretch it enough or somewhat pin the person's bit
They're
that you're
gonna-
tattooing, they jump around
Yeah.
and they move or they pull or it's like an added like fear for me where I'm like if I haven't got them tight, then they've got like the ability to like potentially fuck it up. But at least if I've got them tight and I pin them, if they're about to move, I can kind of feel it and you can stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll and you can
Yeah,
kind of like
that's
pull it
right.
back real quick.
Yes.
Because you kind of like, I don't know, you anticipate it or whatever, you feel the movement.
You
It's
can
just
tell.
like, but if it's a little bit more relaxed, they can just go and it'll. Oh no! All right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at jumping away from it. I used to draw on the bus all the time, so you had to like be really careful whenever it went over bumps. But yeah, you got to be real quick with moving away from people.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they like, jump or something.
It all comes with practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing was Australia and England again, even though we were an AC country,
Yeah.
we were also a round shader country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by that, we didn't use
The magnums.
the mags or the flats.
Yeah.
We used round shaders for everything.
Yeah.
And it was only since we did the pilgrimage to America with the conventions
Yeah.
and met the American artists that we learned about DC tattooing and flats and magnums
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff.
Because I find a mag is like a lot less. I know, I find it hurts a lot less. I don't know if that's just my head, but I always find it feels a bit more spread out. And I've been tattooed by both. I've been tattooed by round shaders as well and coloured. And I don't know, they can be pretty brutal, but they get it in there.
They get it in there. If you want
Yeah.
to pump in really solid colour,
Yeah.
the round shader would do the trick.
Yeah.
If you want to get the job done quicker and smoother,
Yeah.
the mag is the way to do it,
Yeah.
especially in big areas.
Yeah. Big scale work.
We used to use like a cross between with what we called a hairy Mary.
Oh, yeah.
A round shader was a tight grouping.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't that tight. They were soldered back, say, 5 mil or whatever from the tip.
Okay.
Anyway, they were grouping of, say, let's say 8 or 10 needles.
Yeah.
You got a razor blade and you spread them out like that.
Okay.
So you ended up with something that looked like that
Kinda
rather
like
than like that.
Yeah.
So it was a round mag.
Okay. Holy, it's a bit more spread out, kind of like a claw or.
Yes, it was a round mag.
Yeah.
So it was spread like that
Yeah. Wild.
rather than
Yeah.
like that.
More direct, like a liner
Yes.
would be.
And it covered a lot of skin quicker,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful to shade with.
Yeah.
You got that airbrush look.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
Nice airbrush look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's really satisfying. I think shading and coloring are probably my favorite things to do with tattooing. I love getting beautiful whips and nice pepper shades,
Yeah.
controlling, your hand speed and voltage a lot of has to do with that as well.
Yes.
I don't know, it's super, super fun. And then like color, like packing and color is super, super nice as well. I feel like it's always when it
Yes.
comes together.
I like packing in colour.
It's the best.
My favourite part.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like each stage it gets more and more satisfying. Like
Yes.
as soon as someone walks in and they want color, I'm like, yes, in my mind. And if they don't, sometimes I'll like try and talk them into it, like, oh, color's like I think it would look better, If they don't want color, that's fine. Some people like just their black and gray tattoos.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Maybe 50% of them?
Yeah.
Black and grey.
For sure. My partner, she doesn't go out in the sun very much. She's got lovely, milky, pale skin, but she only likes black tattoos. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
shame. I'd love to put some color on you, but it's not her style, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like using a pretty limited palette when I do color work. I usually only use maybe 3 colors, maybe 4, just red, brown, and green, sometimes yellow.
Which is what the style is.
Just
yes.
the bare bones of it. But I feel like it lets you get so much more contrast and interest into a piece.
It's funny, all the trad guys, like, we'll meet at a convention or whatever, and they all use a different green.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, oh, what green are you using? And you go, oh, what green are you using? And everyone swaps sort of like hot
Swap
tips on the
stories.
green. Because the greens, like the yellow is like, all the trad guys use Dermaglow for yellow. It's like the best pigment from the UK. But the green's like, it's hard to find a really nice,
You mean like this?
like a trad green, yeah.
Yeah.
Because what did you used to use, Mo, or did you used to make your own pigments?
I used to mix a lot of them my own, yes.
Okay.
I'd buy towards the end there, I had a big bottle of concentrate green, big bottle of concentrate blue, purple, and so on.
Yeah.
And from that, you could make any colour you like.
Yeah, you just mix them, I guess.
Yeah.
It's good to know color theory and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And if I was reading a book and I saw a picture of a tattoo in there that was done with a certain shade of colour, I would mix up that shade of colour
Yeah.
myself, you know. But whereas other guys, they go out and buy 50 to 60 different bottles of colour from the supply company,
Yeah.
when all they've got to do is just mix it up to their liking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use the ones they've already got and just mix it up.
Bit of black to make it darker.
Yeah.
Bit of white if you want to make it lighter. Bit of
Vibrant.
yellow if you want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want a lime green, you start off with mainly yellow
Yeah.
and throw a little tiny bit of green in it, and you've
Yeah.
got a lovely lime green. Why go out and buy a whole new bottle of green?
Yeah.
That's it. I used to work with a young lady who was an oil painter, and she was getting into tattooing, and she was the we used to call her the human color wheel
Yeah.
because we used to just like throw anything at her and she'd spit it back exactly what it was going to be. I was like, this is wonderful. I love having an oil painter in the shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never took any notice of the colour wheel.
Yeah.
I had a system, I suppose you could call it, that I would use, and the system was basically very simple. It was if the tattoo is looking too dark, you'd throw a colour in to make it lighter, and that colour would usually be yellow, because yellow is a good go-between between the warm colours and the cold colours.
Yeah.
It was like the dividing line. So if the tattoo was using too much greens and blues and purples, you'd have to offset it with some lighter colours like yellow
Yeah.
or white or whatever, just to
Yeah.
lighten it. Otherwise, the tattoo would look too dark.
It's
And
interesting.
that was a simple system that I had.
Yeah. It's interesting, like being artists, we all have our own different methods. There's no
Yes.
one way of doing it.
No one way.
You just kind of got to do it, and you just pick up tricks along the way. You talk to other artists, and I don't know. I find it super fascinating. It's a trade that you're always learning with. There's no tip of the mountain, really. With art, you can always find new places and new ways to
Yes.
do things, and that extends to tattooing as well.
Yes, yes.
It's fascinating.
I used to think that some of these new colours that you buy nowadays were like trying to tattoo with piss.
Yep.
They've got no guts in them.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're so liquidy
Yep.
that I used to think they've got no pigment in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Picking them up with real pigment,
Okay.
Yeah.
powder pigment.
Okay.
I used to get the colour from the supply company, you know, which is a nice bottle of something, but too liquidy. Where's the pigment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was always used to tattoo them with creamy colour,
Yeah.
Yep.
not stuff that comes out like water.
Okay.
So I'd take that bottle of green, say, or whatever, which was like water, but a nice green nonetheless, and top it up with powder pigment, so increase the pigment content, creamy rather than liquidy.
Yeah.
That's another thing for tattooists. They've got to learn to be able to switch from good skin to bad skin to old skin to young skin.
Yeah.
And each one is different.
For sure.
None of them are the same. You can get to a stage where you're doing a couple of tattoos and you think, I finally made it. I've mastered tattooing, you know. And you think, wow, at last, all my years of hard work are paying off. I've finally got to the pinnacle. I've worked out how to put beautiful ink into the skin. And the next guy that comes in through the door teaches you, you don't even know jack shit,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know? So you've got to learn to be able to jump from a good one to a bad one.
Yeah.
Versatility
Versatility.
Yeah.
within tattooing.
Yeah. I guess like the further you get into it, the more you know. It's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. The more you know that you don't know anything.
That's right.
You know, you've got to be adaptable.
Yes.
I think coil machines though are a lot more forgiving as well. Like I think younger tattooers come into the industry and they hear the noise and they see all the moving parts and they think, oh, it's obviously more complex than this thing that just works. But with a coil machine, like because of the slowdown on the A bar and like the skin reacting to the needle and everything, you have way less of a chance for damage to ever happen
Yes.
when you're tattooing. So I think a coil machine is actually more of a versatile tool than a rotary machine in the sense of using it between different types of people,
Yeah.
Okay.
between old, young, new, whatever sort of skin, the coil machine is it's gonna talk back to you. You can hear it, you can listen to it. Oh shit, I might need to give it a tune. I might need to do this to it, or I might not need to do anything to it. It's sweet. It's running beautifully.
It's all in the sound.
It's all in the sound.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, I don't know, the new school and the new tattooing with these pens or whatever, they don't have that. And it's actually a feather in the cap of the old school, and it's a feather in the cap of any tattooer that is still using coil machines.
Yes, yeah.
It is a little bit more finicky to like play around with them, clean them, yada, yada, yada. But you know what? I tell you what, I think it will produce a really nice tattoo, and it will be way more respectful to the skin.
Yeah, it's an art in of itself, tuning coil machines and looking after them.
Yes. It's funny you should say that, because I've been under the impression that the new modern machines, the rotaries, were superior. And that's why everyone's using them.
Maybe in some ways, I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
effortless to tattoo with these things, these new
Yeah.
rotaries, you know. And
I
and then you're saying the complete opposite. And because I've never used the new ones. I've only ever used the coil. Although towards the end of my career, I was using swash drive whips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like with the feedback and like the sounding that you're hearing from a coil machine, I reckon you've got way more like control over this whole scenario of doing a tattoo, where with a quiet little, like I've got pen machines, I got fucking rotaries, coil machines, you name it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel that you have less control when you can't hear what it's doing.
Yeah.
But with the Cubans make noise, but they're relentless. You cannot slow that fucking thing down. You hit it with your thumb to slow it down. It doesn't slow down. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even with the voltage, won't do it.
You could turn down the voltage and do it, but you know what I mean? It's
Still, you have to be careful. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you could hurt someone.
I think if you put a Dan Cuban in the hands of anyone tattooing within their first, couple of years, they would carve them up. They would cut them in half.
Yeah.
You could cut someone in half with those things. They're just relentless. You can't stop it. But with a coil machine, you've got that control. You've got the flow. You've got the sound. You can touch that A bar and just slow it right down, literally just by tapping at it.
Yeah.
The sound is important, yes. That's the thing that you got with the coil that you haven't got with the rotary, the sound.
Yeah. Because, a rotary is it's just an engine, a little motor attached to it.
And it requires no maintenance virtually.
You don't have to tune them. I guess that's probably a big reason why a lot of people are switching to them. It's less work.
Yes, yeah.
It's plug and play.
It's complete plug and play.
Like ready-made needles, all sterilised or whatever.
A lot of people don't use
Cartridges and so forth.
Yeah, a lot of people don't use needle bars these days. They just use cartridges.
Yeah, what's a needle bar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nowadays, people don't use them.
You can still buy needle bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use
them.
needle bars.
Yeah.
I only use needle bars.
No cartridges.
I refuse.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm sorry, but the little membrane it's got, and the little, because how it works, right? It's got like a little stem, like a little straw, and then a push rod actually pushes that straw,
That's right.
which then pushes the membrane to move the needle. Now, in that moment where it's pushing the little straw, I feel that it just has inconsistency. You plug it in, it'll some of them will make heaps of noise and they're all fucked up, and you're just like, oh, I don't like that. This little plastic cartridge needle, it's sure you can spend a lot more money and get better quality cartridge needles, but with a needle bar, that thing is rigid. It does not move. If you want to move it, you can move it, you can bend it, you can do whatever you want to it.
Yes.
But there's so much more control on a needle bar. It's rigid and you have feedback through the whole machine. There's nothing affecting, so many tattooers I know that use those little cartridges. They're just like, oh, God, I went through 3 cartridges, because they don't work, or they'll snap a spring or something, and they'll go through 3 different, and I'm like, I've got 1 needle. I'm just like, well, I've never had that with a needle bar.
Yeah.
Yes. I always work with needle bars, yes. And when I put the needle bar on the machine, I used to bend it one way so that when they put the rubber band on, it pulled it straight.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. So it counterbalances
Yes.
actually in the tip. It lifts it up just enough that it still sits on the bottom of the tip and feeds the ink. There's a bit of airflow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a full science, I reckon, in like
Yeah.
bending the needle just right.
Oh yeah.
And another thing that you've got to take into account with the coil machine and an armature bar. And an armature bar, it goes through an arc, right?
For sure.
It's that end of there is an arc. So if your needle bar is too rigid on that arc, what's it going to do? It's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to have like a uni joint up at the top, so that when you got the arc, the needle bar is only going up and down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going like this with the
For
arc,
sure.
especially when the stroke is long.
Mm.
You could bend the eye loop potentially just a tiny little bit to maybe counterbalance that. Could you?
Bend the eye loop.
As
Yes,
in-
yes. You make a softer connection at the top,
Yeah,
and you use a grommet.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, your grommet and your eye loop then should not be so tight
For sure.
that when you take into account the arc, that the needle bar stays only up and down that way and doesn't follow the arc.
Mm.
Otherwise, you'll have wobble at the tip,
Yeah.
Yes.
You
at
get
the bottom,
spitting.
And
where it comes out of the tube.
And it'll
Not many
spit
people
ink.
take that into account. I was explaining this to Jace one day, and he said, it was like a light bulb went on, and he said,
Yeah.
because often the tattooer starts the machine up, brings it down near the skin, and there's a great big splatter. It sprays. You
Sure.
ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you get it near the skin, it sprays all over the stencil,
Yeah.
especially with an outliner or something.
Yeah.
What if you had a machine that you got it right down there and it's running and it's no spray whatsoever, not even a drip, until you actually touch needle to skin, and then the ink starts to flow.
Mm.
That's when it's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a hard thing to kind of wrap my head around when I first started, was getting the bend right, because it's definitely, there's a science to it. And you just
Yeah.
have to fuck around with it. You have to do it so many times before you're like, you get that
Yes.
sweet
There's
spot.
so many wonderful things about tattoo, about that machine.
Yeah.
That simple little thing like the electric bell.
It's so sad.
That's
that-
it. Yeah, the electric bell.
You can almost get it to a stage where you're almost talking to it, like that
Yeah.
simple little thing of bringing it right down to the skin while it's running, and it doesn't drop a single drop of ink.
Mm.
And I've seen other tattooists dropping it down and it's just spraying.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's hard.
All the parts of the machine have got to work in harmony
Yeah.
Yep.
with the A-bar and the arc. Whoever thought of the arc? Have you ever thought of the arc?
I've never thought of the arc.
Mm. I haven't really thought
But
of the arc.
The arc.
Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant. No way. We just jinxed everybody. Me and Mo. Yeah.
That's sick.
Damn.
We're giving away some real secrets here today, folks.
Yeah.
I think
All these guys are going to
You'll just like bleep it out.
yeah. I've got a censor button actually.
yeah.
censor it.
That's all right.
So I can say. So the biggest secret with tattooing is
Yes. It's things working in harmony.
Yeah.
The needle bar working in harmony with the armature bar, and the tip and the tube and the springs, all working in harmony to get perfection.
Yeah.
You're going to have all these guys listening to this blaming
Right,
podcast.
taking
They're
notes.
Going to go back to their, pull a drawer out with their old coil machines in it,
Yeah.
and can I look at the arc?
it'll be like they'll
Right, there is
open
an
it.
arc.
they'll open the drawer
Blow
and
off
it'll be
all the
like
dust.
it'll be like the pirate movies where they open the chest and
Yeah.
all the yellow and they'll be like,
Gold.
"Ah."
Gold gleams out.
Or
It'll be
it could be that Mo's talking a lot of shit.
Maybe he doesn't.
potentially.
Yeah. You'll never know.
But
You will never know.
but the smaller the throw,
Mm.
the lesser the arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you want to get long stroke, you got a big arc, of course.
Yeah.
It's just physics.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Who knew all this could come from a doorbell, eh?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter with a doorbell, you know. It's only got to go back and forth and hit the bell.
Yeah. It's the only thing you have to worry about.
But there's so many variables with the tattooing, you know. Even just the ink spraying before it hits the skin.
Yeah, it's a super tricky thing to learn. You got to be really adaptable with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The variables with tattooing was what I found made it so hard. It was
Yes,
trying to learn
yes.
1,000 things at once.
Oh,
Yes.
And I didn't understand why. I just didn't understand why I couldn't create a tattoo that looked like my mentors or looked like, you know, other people's tattoos because I didn't understand any of it because I just hadn't done enough time with it.
That's right. Practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just timing.
Practice and understanding.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why people are buying these new modern flame and rotary machines where you don't have to know all this stuff. You just plug it in. It will go up and down, and you plug in the cartridge,
Yeah.
and there's no wobble in the end, and there's no spray, or there's no nothing. All that only happens with the coil machine,
Yeah.
and that's why they like these new machines so much, I guess.
Yeah.
The high powered Dan Cuban rotary has got a little bit of like they've got a huge thing that they spit because they hit so hard and you have to put this very perfect bend on your needle, otherwise they spit. But the new Dan Cuban rotaries that have come out in the last 2 years, they've extended the A bar so you don't have to put a bend and there's no spitting, which is wonderful. But a lot of the Dan Cuban stuff, like the old machines, very, very much remind me of old coil machines where they do spit and they kind of, there's a lot of like, oh, the band might be too tight and they don't operate perfectly all the time.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure it out and, you know, work out how to get a correct bend with it. And it's super interesting.
Yeah. I went to the trouble, you know how you can buy all these rubber grommets
Yeah.
from the supply companies? I went to the trouble of finding a company that would make me grommets for me
Yeah.
out of neoprene.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because neoprene, I don't know what the difference is, but neoprene is a superior form of rubber.
Yeah.
It's got more lasting power. Them little grommets that you buy from the supply company, some of them only last for one tattoo, and you've got to chuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the neoprene ones, you could do 1,000 tattoos with one grommet.
Yeah.
They just go and go and go and go.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought a big bag of them, you know, with 10,000 grommets, I think, for $20.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Shit. Yeah.
A lot of the old trad guys, or even the new guys that are getting into this sort of style of tattoo, they're using like paper towel.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much putting a bit of paper towel and then like looping their eye. They're putting their eye loop over the A bar.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just using like a little spit of paper towel, and it's actually giving them heaps of movement. So
That's American idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's super American, but I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
But I've always used grommets, and I will continue to use grommets. I like the security and safety of them.
Yeah.
There's not, you know.
Do you use top hat grommets, or do you use...
Yep, top hats, not burgers. I've never used the burgers. Mick Waters always used to use the burgers.
I've never heard them called burgers before, but yeah, I always use the burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to have a little pair of long nose pliers that would open up the end, the loop on the needle bar
Yeah.
Yeah.
to just the right thing before I put the grommet on.
Okay.
Because Zuzz, you might not have even. I
Nah.
don't think you've been introduced to the burger grommet.
We've all just used, or I've always just used top hats.
A burger grommet was like, it's got a hole and then it's a full circle of rubber with an indentation where the needle will sit.
Oh, wild.
And they're quite tricky to put on. I've played around with them a little bit.
That's why I got to open it up with open the needle bar up with the long nose pliers.
Oh, okay.
to then slot it in.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting like little mechanism.
Yeah.
But Mick used to use them. They're very old school.
Cool.
And they're probably a lot more secure than the top hats. I find the top hats wear out at the very base.
Oh, quickly.
Yeah,
That's because they're rubber, not neoprene too.
Yeah.
for sure.
So if you've got a burger that's made out of neoprene, you've got the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Like the angels singing every time you run your machine.
Yeah.
Beep that out again. Love it. I'm going to bring you in some of these neoprene burgers.
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
please, yeah, I'd love to give them a go. I'd love
gonna-
to run a few tats with them.
Yeah.
I've got a big cupboard at home, a big cupboard, and I've got all my tattoo equipment in the cupboard, and I haven't pulled it out for a couple of years.
Wow,
I'm going to start getting it out
do it.
Yeah.
and seeing what's in there.
You should, Mo. You should.
and,
You really should.
I'll bring you in some of these neoprene burgers,
Yeah.
Yep.
and it's good to see that you use needle bars still,
For sure.
and normal tubes. What sort of tubes are you using?
So I, for many, many years, we were using steel, and only steel with a rubber grip on them. And I've got an autoclave at the back, and I got sick of scrubbing tubes. So I jumped on the internet and I bought 100 boxes of just like disposable grips, like 35 mil disposable grips.
Yes.
And
It's only the grips.
it's a grip with a stem and everything.
Okay.
So it's
yep,
pretty much
yep.
unpeel it. It's all sterilized, pre-sterilized.
Yes.
Run the needle, happy days,
Yeah.
and then throw it away at the end.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Every now and then I like switching back to a steel grip, and it's nice having that weight that comes along with it. It's
balance.
like, oh, it's so nice.
What about the thickness of the grip?
The metal grips, we were probably using about 25 mil, I think. But then with maybe 25 mil, but then with the rubber grip, it went to about 30 mil. So it was like a pretty decent sized grip. Yeah, about that big.
Yeah. I was using real big chunky ones when I first started.
Yeah.
I forget how big they were.
They were about 30, but they were just steel.
Yeah,
You were
they were-
just using steel. There were no rubber grips or anything.
No, they were heavy. But yeah, it was good.
Mine were all little.
Yeah.
Oh, the old school.
the old school.
Yeah.
But I never got any RSI.
Really?
No. All these young guys, a lot of them, are getting RSI.
Yeah.
From the weight of the grip, you reckon?
Yeah, too big.
Yeah.
If you pick up a pen, a biro, and everything, you don't go out and buy a biro, a pen
Yeah.
that's this fucking thick, and try to write with it, do you?
Big
That's
crayon.
it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I was always too nervous to use anything that small because I feel like I would potentially not have the control that I would with a bigger grip. The bigger it is, the easier it was for me to hold it.
I don't know. All these big grips just came out of the woodwork overnight once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago or whatever. Before that, it was just all small. And then all of a sudden, big stuff was coming out.
Yeah.
And I guess videos were coming out on the internet with everyone using these big grips.
Yeah.
And everyone's different, I know, but and people came to use them because they thought it was superior, perhaps, thought it counterbalanced the weight of the coil machine,
Yeah.
For sure.
and so forth. But I never took to the big ones.
Yeah.
Because I loved the big heavy steel ones because you would use the machine almost like a pendulum, especially when you were shading, like whip shading. And you can kind of just literally just move your fingers or your thumb and you could go, and the whole machine and the whole grip and everything would so you could go wing, ding, 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 you almost you just literally using your fingers, you tapping your fingers and the weight of the machine would swing it.
Yeah.
I found I don't know, yeah, and you literally you could just whip shade with just using your fingers. You didn't have to use your wrists
Yeah.
by using, and it was like a pendulum. It was just
Okay.
the back and forth of the machine with the weight of the grip, but you just tapping your fingers, and it gave you some really consistent pepper shade,
What's a pepper shade?
as in like a whip shade, where it will go from pitch black to whipping up through the skin, and it will go tat 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 tat. They'll be
So you got needle marks.
yeah,
Yeah.
little salt and peppers.
Yes.
Oh, not salt. Sorry,
That's-
just peppers. Pepper shade.
That's how it was when I first started tattooing. That whip shading with the needle marks.
Yeah.
And then I spent years learning how to get rid of the needle marks. To get rid
Okay.
of it. And because I like the airbrush look,
Yeah. Real
For
sh-
sure.
where it starts off dense and slowly feathers out to disappear,
Yeah.
like you would if you'd hit it with an airbrush.
Yeah. I like the peppers.
Yeah.
When I first started, I used to really getting a really nice gradient like that, real airbrush look. But I don't know. I like getting a good
Yeah.
peppers in there. It's
Yeah,
satisfying to me.
But even realism guys, have been seeing loads of realism guys take that on.
Yeah.
and sort of implement that into their tattoos and stuff. And like,
Has a different element in their work.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
it's fascinating. But I'm a lover of the pepper shade. I love like the strike marks
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it's pitch black to like it like fades out, but
love
it
it.
looks traditional and
Yeah.
very old school.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm enjoying it. It's been
Like-
really fun.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But things like the arc and all that might be to the average person,
Fuck them.
Yeah.
especially if they're not using coils anymore.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
You watching?
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
No.
We're putting it in. The Ark of the Covenant.
Hell yeah. That's
It's
super
like the
fascinating.
figure eight then. Let's talk about the figure eight. You know what the figure eight is?
Yes, I know about the figure eight. This young man might not though.
No, I don't know what you mean by the figure eight.
That's when you look at the armature bar from a front-on view. When
Yeah.
you're looking at the little stub on the end of the armature bar.
Okay.
When it's going up and down. Spaulding and Rogers years ago wrote a book called How to Tattoo, How to Do Good Tattooing, I think it was. And he said the perfect thing is the figure eight.
Yeah.
All the figure eight is the armature bar on top of each other
Yeah.
as it's moving.
Oh, it's
See how it becomes an eight?
yeah.
Yeah.
Two circles?
It's
So let's just say the little knob on the end of the armature bar is, what would it be, 3 mil round?
Yeah.
So it moves 3 mil when it's turned on and becomes a figure eight as it's moving. If you look at it when it's moving, it's only becoming a figure eight.
yeah.
He reckoned it was the hard and fast rule, like the holy grail of tattooing.
Interesting.
But I reckon it's bullshit. He wrote the book and everyone's been trying to duplicate it since, I suppose,
Yeah.
you know.
He's like,
Because
this will keep
I
him
thought
busy.
the hell with the figure eight. You've only got a tiny little stroke to create a figure eight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want like an infinity.
You want an infinity.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Now
want
you're talking.
Hell yeah.
All the over 40 Karens will be stoked.
Yeah, they love their
Infinity
infinities.
symbols.
Yes.
All round from Moe. Get him here today, guys.
So the hell with the figure eight.
Yeah.
Give me that infinity. That's another way of putting it, yeah. Which is more like this.
Yeah, a longer stroke. That's interesting.
I thought when you were originally talking about the figure eight, when I said, yes, I know about this, I thought you were talking about packing, like color packing.
Ah, you didn't know about the figure eight then?
No, I didn't actually know about the figure eight on the coil machine. I was thinking about, packing color.
Did
I was
under-
always,
Did I understand? Did I put that in a way that you could understand it?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about?
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean.
we know what's up.
Yeah.
But when I was taught to pack color and pack pigment in, I was taught in like a figure eight motion,
Yep.
which I thought, oh yeah, I know all about that, Mo. I didn't actually know anything about what he just said, but I do
Yeah,
now,
I
and
do
so
now.
do you, because we're giving away all the secrets.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. Love it.
Unreal.
So there's a couple of things that we've introduced here that you know.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But Spaulding wrote that flaming book years ago.
Yeah. Huck Spaulding.
Huck Spaulding, although Huck Spaulding could really pack colour.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him with his figure eight.
He used to wear a little green visor. Huck Spaulding.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a banker's visor.
yeah, it's so
But
weird.
he was tattooing. He was known for it,
Yeah.
and he had gold teeth as well, which I really like.
That's cool. Yeah.
Huck Spaulding. Some of the old guys in tattooing were so cool and like colorful and like character,
Yeah, it's super
Yeah.
interesting.
but he was known for that. This little green, like a lime green see-through visor,
Yeah.
and then like it was like just a band with his hair on the top.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
They were like, those visors were like accountants and everything used back in the
Yeah.
day. Because of the light. They were working under a light and they shaded it from their eyes.
Okay.
Ah, always wondered about that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I guess it makes sense, yeah, if you've got the heavy lights. Yeah,
And-
you
and-
don't want to be
and-
blinded by it all the time.
And you're sitting under that light for
Yeah.
8 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You need to shadow your eyes, otherwise it affects your eyes.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't even think about that. I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna go blind because I've never shadowed my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like I try and light up. I actually set up when I tattoo. I've got 2 lights.
Yeah.
I set it up so bright. I'm like, fuck, I can't see.
Hell yeah.
Can't see
what-
what's going on.
You've created a valid point here, though. You should watch your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will affect your eyes.
Yeah. I try to
Give
take
them
care
enough
of them.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always getting my eyes tested, you know. It's if I can't see, I can't tattoo. It's super important.
That's right.
Yeah, my eyes and my hands are like the 2 things I try to look after most of all. Like
Yeah.
I don't skate anymore. You don't skate anymore.
No.
It's too much risk of falling down and just breaking your hands or something.
Skateboarding, tattooing over skateboarding every day of the week. I'd rather tattoo.
Yeah.
Even though I dream of skateboarding, I literally close my eyes at night and I sleep and I dream about skateboarding, which is kind of weird for like a 32-year-old bloke, but it's fine.
Yeah,
I've come to terms with my life.
Yeah.
You don't go to bed anymore and dream about tattooing.
Oh, I do.
I used
Yes.
to.
I have
used
dreams
to.
about tattooing all the time.
I used to
Yeah.
a lot. I don't really anymore.
Really?
Yeah. When I was early on in my
Okay.
sort of when I was learning how to do it and that it was on my mind all the time,
Yeah.
that's when I would dream. Nowadays, I can kind of coast when I tattoo. I don't really have to think about it so much.
Yes.
I can sort of think, oh, what am I having for dinner? And I can like do a tattoo and
Yeah.
be really happy with how it turns out or whatever. But back in the day, when it was on my mind all the time, that was when I used to dream about it.
A lot of the time I'll go to sleep at night and I go to close my eyes and all I can hear in the back of my head is the sound of a tattoo machine. Me, you know.
That's tinnitus, bro.
Probably.
I got tinnitus, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a friend anyway back in the day when he got his first tattoo machine. If he ever sees this, he'll know who I'm talking about. I won't mention any names. But when he got his first tattoo machine, he put it under the pillow at night and slept
Yeah.
with it.
Like the tattoo fairy.
That is so not staunch,
Yeah.
you know, that beautiful little instrument.
Yeah.
But I used to find that if I had a problem, I was having problems getting colour in, or why is my needle wobbling in the tip of the tube? I would take that to bed at night and think about that.
Yeah.
How could I solve that problem?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, like problem solving in your own free time.
Yes.
Usually it's in the shower. You
'Cause,
know? You're like thinking.
if you're working every day, 8 hours a day every day, and you've got the same problem, the needle is wobbling in the end of the tip, it makes the 8 hours
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
annoying. If you can just solve that problem, your day cruises by like what you said. You can think about anything else while you're tattooing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when I first started tattooing, I couldn't have a conversation with the person getting tattooed. I was too honed in and trying to focus on everything that I was doing. And sometimes I'm still like that. If I'm doing like a real complex tattoo, I'm like really trying to fucking hone in on it. I won't tell them, I won't tell them to be quiet or anything like that because it's rude. But, I'll kind of be a bit minimal with my answers and stuff like that because I'm just so focused. But yeah, now these days I can have a chat about whatever. And usually Jake's tattooing and over there and I'm, he's chatting to me as well, throwing a few jokes my way and I'm having a laugh, It's a good time. It's a good time.
It is a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love tattooing. I love the life that tattooing has given me.
Yes.
I love the life that tattooing has given both of you guys.
It's precious.
It is precious.
Yeah.
It's a very free life.
Yeah.
It used to be more free. Now you've got all these regulations and licenses and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Never used to have that back in the day.
Yeah.
No, I remember when they brought it in and the tattoo industry was in an uproar. This is a little bit before I came into it, when licensing came in Queensland and New South Wales.
Campbell Newman. And he had a reason for doing it, though, because the bikers were firebombing the opposition shops and standing over the guys and all this sort of stuff. So he brought in what they called the Vlad laws. mainly because of the flaming bikers.
Yeah.
He stopped them wearing their colours and all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
Brought in the licensing laws. If you belonged to a motorcycle club, you weren't allowed to work in a tattoo shop. You weren't allowed to get a tattoo license, and so on.
Mm. Yeah, it's super interesting.
And I don't think it really worked because I've heard of bikers owning tattoo shops.
Yeah.
It's still very prevalent within the industry,
Yeah.
and it didn't. I don't think it stopped much.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they'll put the business license in someone else's name, and
Yeah.
they'll just operate it as normal.
Yeah.
You know, that's a quick bypass.
Yeah.
It also never stopped the backyarders who were operating without a license.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I remember, Mo, when the COVID restrictions came in and they said, all right, you tattooers, however long, no work for you guys, you know, and we all said, okay, no worries. We all got a letter sent out from the government, and one of my friends said, should we be worried about this letter that said, if any tattooing is done at home, you face up to $20,000 in fines, et cetera, et
That's
cetera, et cetera. And I said to my friend, I said, well, you know, they don't do this shit. They don't follow up backyarders. It's like these guys don't know what they're doing. So why the fuck would they come after us if we do know what we're doing? Not that we were tattooing or anything. We weren't doing anything against the law, but you know, the cops don't give a shit about someone scratching from home. Why would they give a shit about a professional tattooer doing a professional tattoo from home?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they just did it as a scare tactic to, you know, get people to not tattoo from home.
Yes.
And, you know, at the end of the day, it's
You could have came in and done it in your shop here, as long as the door was closed and
Yeah.
the curtains were pulled.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they seen you walking in with a customer.
Yeah, but I'm not sitting there scoping the joint.
I think the police have bigger fish to fry though
Yeah.
than tattoo artists.
They did back then, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
what's going on?
grabbing guys sitting on a park bench,
Yeah.
eating a packet of chips or something.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing out here? There's a fine
Hell yeah.
for being out from your house and out in public
Yeah.
eating.
Oh, what? Through COVID?
Yes,
Oh, yes, for sure.
yes.
Yeah, people getting fined for just being out of their homes. That was
Yes,
crazy.
Yes,
Especially down south.
Yeah, down in Melbourne.
yes. Oh, Melbourne was the worst under Dan Andrews.
Unreal. It was
Hey,
crazy.
Dan, fuck you too, Dan.
You heard it here. Good one, Mo.
Yeah. Anyway, rubber bullets, the cops with the rubber bullets and everything.
They shot ladies. It was like a little old lady that got shot with rubber bullets. Take that, old lady.
Like this your bitch.
That's
But
dude,
when you
that-
think about it, it's insane.
yeah, it is insane,
It
Mo.
was a period of insanity.
Yeah.
And I think everyone learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope they did,
for sure.
that it could never happen again.
Yeah.
You know? It ruined people's lives.
Yeah.
COVID,
really.
yeah,
Yeah. After it was over, though, people had businesses that they couldn't never return to because they couldn't pay the rent.
Yeah.
There was no customers, and they just lost their businesses and their livelihoods, all because they were locked down for so long.
Yeah. It's real sad.
a lot of tattoo
Yes.
shops in Melbourne closed down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And some of my, you know, my favorite shops that I've had followed for many years.
Yes.
Yeah, but I still think that after the COVID, like we're still facing like the backlash of the wave, like with the prices of everything going up and the housing
Yes.
crisis. Like we're still recovering. We're in the middle of it still. You know,
I
Yeah.
believe so. Yes.
it's really nuts. I really feel for people that are doing it tough at the moment.
I think a lot of tattoo shops are doing it tough at
Yeah.
the moment.
Right now, right now at this current state,
Yeah.
so many tattoo shops that I know Australia wide are all quiet. No
Yeah.
one's tattooing. They're all wondering what the hell's happened,
Yeah.
and some are closing up shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think the strong will survive with this, but
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
it's
Yeah.
it's
It all comes back to putting a bit of money aside
Yeah.
each week, you know, just in case something like this happens.
Yeah.
Or
Being
you- or you-
responsible.
You have an accident and break your arm, or for some reason, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to keep paying the rent, but you can't work.
Yeah, exactly.
You can put that money aside. Have a backup plan.
Yeah, super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this COVID just hit just like this. Everyone was out of work. They had no backup plan.
Yeah.
No money put aside. The government did their best with printing money and spreading all this money out to people for nothing.
Yeah. It's a hard thing though.
Yeah.
A global pandemic.
I think the government printed so much money back in the day that I believe Australia's something like over $1 trillion in debt now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's why we've got all this madness happening with the inflation and people can't pay their mortgages and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's insane.
Because they've devalued the dollar so much.
Yeah.
For sure.
They printed. We never used to be $1 trillion in debt until COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think America is something like $33 trillion
That's crazy.
in debt.
Who are they in debt to, though? Who are we in debt to?
Central banks and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they don't actually print physical money. It's digital currency now,
Yeah.
Super interesting.
It's fascinating, eh?
which is a subject in itself, you know,
Yeah.
and for another day.
Yeah.
And it's totally devoid from
For
tattooing.
another day.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
what do
Shall
you
we-
reckon?
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
It's been a really fun 3 hours
3 hours. Just a little chat.
3 hours.
with Moe Webley, guys. So
That
we're
time's
actually
flown by.
we're going to break this up into a few different
We'll-
chapters, maybe 3 potentially separate episodes where you can hear all of the top secrets of tattooing from Moe.
Tattoos.
Even the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
I am stoked that we said that at the same time.
Yeah. That's
We're on
so
a
sweet.
wavelength.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, thanks for coming in, Moe.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Man, unreal. It was an absolute pleasure having
It
you.
was a nice afternoon, yes.
Yeah. It was lovely.
Anyway,
Lovely.
on that note,
All right.
see you guys.
Goodbye. See you next time.